Started there.
Yep.
I'm gonna call the meeting to order, please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have Rebecca Rowley first up.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Rebecca.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Rowley, and I am the department coordinator for the science department. I know I saw a lot of you last year when we did the textbook presentation. I'm a graduate of Taconic Hills and have been a teacher here for 20 years. And I speak to you today on behalf of our department about both our struggles the last few years as well as our real strengths. Over the last few years, many of our students and yes, teachers are dealing with a great deal of stress, both in and out of the workplace. Some of our science teachers are dealing with the death of a parent, caring for elderly family members, caring for children with severe illness, autoimmune illnesses, COVID, and the list goes on. I mention this to you because I really need you to keep in mind that you need to see us as people, not just teachers. Like all professionals right now, we are struggling with home and workplace. But our department has been struggling the last few years more than usual. As you're aware, our department has had changes in assignments due to an individual taking leave of absence repeatedly over the last 4 years. In the past, teachers have been taking on extra classes, extra grading, extra late nights in order to support our students. This year, when the person left, the position was never posted or hired for. Instead, the decision was made to combine classes, pushing class sizes, reassigning teaching responsibilities to cover that missing teacher. This has thrown our department off balance again for another year. I do not think the board is quite aware of this impact. Many teachers in our department have had to make unexpected changes in their teaching assignments that impact the quality of the instruction we're trying to do. Some teachers are now teaching new courses for the first time. They're out of their comfort zone while teaching the other classes they were already assigned. Others have given up classes that they created connections with, all to begin again. All these changes have stretched these teachers in so many directions. It makes it difficult to meet the needs of our individual students. The students deserve better. More than anything, the department wants to provide the highest quality education we can for these students. We want to walk away each day feeling proud of the job we did, but we also want to feel like we supported these kids in the way they deserved. This is not consistently happening. We have the department members who are looking to leave the district, all because of these stressors. We want an opportunity for our students to be engaged and connect in science. In an era of COVID, we know that science content and scientific reasoning is more important than ever. As we continue to move forward, I hope that you feel more aware of these challenges and choices that are impacting our students. As a department, we're really hoping for more consistency and support when we're organizing teaching assignments for next year, as well as those positions in the future. On a positive note, I'd like you to know that we have made strides to provide a quality instruction just even in the last month. 2 of our science research students who are seniors, Ellie Yang and Imogen Drake, presented a junior science humanities symposium competition and placed second in their division. Since 2015, we've placed and won awards annually at competition. Linda Hopkins has done an excellent job supporting those students. Teachers have collaborated with each other to do our best to provide instruction in these new content areas that we're not used to. Teachers continue to spend hours before and after school preparing and learning the materials to help our students. For example, Kim Antal is teaching earth science for the first time, spending hours of content with those other earth science teachers, giving up their own time. I helped with a marine science class, helping do a shark dissection when the The instructor was not physically able to move around the classroom to help provide the right type of instruction for the students. Matt Fuller has transitioned to taking on a 7th grade science class with many high SPED needs, and the order of the content has changed as recently as this year. So he had to reorganize how his approach was, even though he had taught it in the past. The department has collaborated with the ag department to provide 9th graders with a presentation where we tried to share with them all the choices they have. We have so many, and trying to just create a quality program for them to make choices in. The AP teachers have met outside of time to brainstorm how to better execute their courses. And one of the things on the agenda is one of those choices of transitioning our AP Chem to 101, which we really feel for years has been the right choice for our students. We continue to adapt our instruction. We have new standards that are going to be tested over the next 5 years, and that's transitioning on our plates. But every day I see members of our department really stretching themselves thin, but they are learning, they are creating, they are working so hard. And I see tears probably at least once a week. Overall, I hope that this information makes you aware of the challenges our department has faced, as well as the determination we have to provide a really quality education for these kids. We will continue to do so through a tough situation. However, we are asking again for support, as well as administration support, to create more consistency in teacher assignments moving forward, to provide a more quality benefit for our students' education. I truly thank you for your time and look forward to any questions you might have. And I had this email, actually this statement, signed by the department so that you know I'm not an island. I represent a lot of really great people. So I just wanted to present.
Thanks.
Thank you. So thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Shane.
Good evening, everybody. I want to start off with some positive things the THFA, the Taconic Hills Faculty Association members have been involved in. It was an extra special Valentine's Day this year, as we made it 100 days in the school year. Various celebrations occurred in our elementary school classes, so the 100th day was on Valentine's Day. Ryan Proper, Beth Flores, and Robin Semp also hosted an Olympic makerspace in the elementary library, and all participants enjoyed themselves thoroughly. The 3rd grade team worked on a memory quote to accompany an author study on Patricia Polacco. And 1st and 3rd graders also participated in cooking classes with the Sylvia Center. The students always enjoy visits with the Sylvia Center. They always are super excited about it and enjoy their time. Unfortunately, we are losing 3 additional teachers this month. They are a huge loss to the district and community. These teachers will be greatly missed, and I know they will find happiness in their next chapter. I want to share 3 words to describe each of them. Brad Boyles, and this one's hard for me because this is somebody I almost consider to be a brother. I consider him to be a brother. Words to describe him would be kind, thoughtful, knowledgeable. Katarina Pullen, caring, student advocate, compassionate. Amy Bentley, innovative, cultured, and reliable. And that's just 3 words. There's really more to that. And I think it's a testament to what they did when you see that they weren't only teachers, they were involved in a whole lot of other things based off of the Board of Ed agenda. You can see all of the things that they resigned from. So I think that that's something to consider. It's interesting that the district only gives raises to particular people they want to retain. However, these rules are only applied to certain individuals. Actions like this create an environment where those in the actual trenches feel dismissed, undervalued, and underappreciated for their efforts in keeping this district open through a pandemic. I explained to Board of Ed members in May of last year that it would be difficult to retain or obtain educators. I'm sad to say that this is coming true at this point. Also, due to wanting to be cautious in regards to COVID, the meeting I had told you that I would come with solutions. That meeting I postponed until March just because there were a lot of COVID
I was
cases.
just going to ask you about that, Jana.
Oh, I'm explaining it ahead of time. So we have it rescheduled for March.
Okay.
So I'm sad to say this is coming true. And where else my stop? So Also, due to wanting to be cautious in regards to COVID, the meeting I had with the teacher leaders was postponed until March. However, we are researching many different avenues the district could take as far as solutions. In the meantime, please simply consider not adding additional work to a group of committed professionals that already feel burned out and taken advantage of, or you will continue to risk the chance of others leaving. Thank you.
Thanks, Shane. Next up, we got Bob Bradway. Hi, Bob.
Yeah, from this one. So mine kind of falls in line with the past two individuals. So some of you know me, some of you don't. I run a business. I run multiple guys. I've hired many, I've fired many, and I've had some leave. And I'll tell you that when people leave, they don't leave the job, they leave the management. And that's what happens. So when they leave, I look at myself and I go, what did I do wrong? How did I fail that individual? Why are they leaving? What could have I done to make them stay? How could I make their life better? So with that being said, I'm kind of hearing this as kind of a repetitive thing here now. You know, why aren't we figuring this out? Why aren't we looking in the mirror? Why are we not looking and saying, what are we doing wrong to lose these good people? These people that put in endless hours, over hours, do things that they're not maybe educated to do, are offering help, staying to try to teach our children things that, you know, to bring them up and make them better. You know, these are key tools in a business. Very, very important pieces of tools. And I can tell you right now, if I have a good year and I have a great year and I get that money at the end, it's great. But you know where it goes? Not to me. I don't give myself a raise. I give it to my guys. I give it to my people. I give it to them. I buy tools for them to make their life easier, to make things flow. And it all works. And that business grows and it thrives. I've grown every year since I've started my business. Every year. And I hope it stays that way. Things happen, so be it. But I like to think that I come with some kind of information to say, what are we doing wrong? What are we failing? Let's fix it. Let's try to figure that out. Because if we're failing our employees of Peconic Hills, then our students suffer. And now you're failing the next generation. Not cool. So, you know, again, and I'm sorry, a great management taught me one time, 2 positives and then a negative. But right now, it's a pretty severe negative. And, you know, sometimes you got to take that lash without the positives. So, you know, yes, there are things out there. Yes, there are great things that were said. Yes, things have been done. Money was put towards helping younger children. Some people that were left behind because of COVID, because of remote learning. Yes, there are good things, and they have been, you know, dealt with, and that's greatly appreciated. But to lose 3 individuals in a month, to hear grumbling of people like, I can't stand this anymore. I don't want to be here. Nobody cares. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's for somebody to say, I don't care. If I hear that roll through my company, that person immediately, why is it that you don't care? What is it that we can do to help you? What is going to benefit you? What's going to keep you here? You know, offer things, offer benefits, offer help, little bonuses, you know, doing things for free.
Wait, I'm gonna stop you. Do you have a union contract with your employees?
I
Wait,
understand.
Do you have a union contract with your employees?
No,
There you go.
you can't help your employees.
No, not when they have a union contract, because that's.
You can give yourself raises, but you can't give your union
First of all,
individuals
I don't
raises.
make any money, but your 3 minutes are up, so we're done.
Oh, is that how you feel?
That is how I feel.
Well, that's case in point,
Yeah,
right there. You
Okay.
failed your
I haven't
people.
failed anyone.
You guys have failed.
You don't know the whole story is what it is.
I'm hearing it pretty good.
Yeah, I know you are. You're only hearing the one side, so
Well, bring yours.
thank you. All right, on to. I need a motion for acceptance of the agenda, please. Motion, Joe, second. Terry, any questions about the agenda? I need to add on page 6, where it says, under mentors, where it says to be determined, we need to add, Kristen Phillips is the literacy teacher, and it's going to be effective March 1st, 2022. The reason why this wasn't on the agenda for us was because it was delivered pretty much yesterday. So that's why you guys didn't have it on your, agenda. And I apologize for that. Kristen?
Phillips?
Oh, Thillips. Any other, well, this is just the agenda. Any, all in favor? Thank you. Next up is the consensus agenda. Can I have a motion, please? Motion? Alicia, second. Bill? So there's a lot of things here. So there's 3 retirements, and I'd like to recognize them. So Rick, is Rick here tonight?
He was not.
So Rick Beedrock, so he worked for the school district for 15 years, but he's always been involved with the school district. He was a board member for many years.
Was the president when the school was built.
He was president of the school board. So he has, so we wish him well in his next chapter. Next up is Sydney Russo. She's been here for 29 years. Great science teacher. So we wish her well as well. And we have Kim Gaylord, elementary teacher. She's been here for 23 years. So we want to thank them all for their service to the school district and wish them happiness in their next chapter of life. All right, anything else? We have, I told you about the literacy teacher. Any other questions? I see Joe Rocco is coming back for tutoring. He left the school district, but he's coming back for tutoring. That's interesting. They got questions about the rest of the consensus agenda? All in favor? All right, we got presentations of budget overview. Dr. Neil Howard and Cindy Howard. This is. Oh, we have something here, right?
Do you want to go over your?
I was gonna do that in my report.
Okay. So you do have this presentation table. So I would turn this slide down a little bit.
Sort of hit the mountains. Just once. There.
So this is probably a final update on the tax cap formula. It's changed a little bit over the last few months, but we do have final numbers. So this is the final budget and tax levy for the current year budget. I just put that up there for everyone's information, recalling that we did not change the tax levy from 2021 to 21-22. So the tax base growth factor, 0.92%, that is physical expansion of infrastructure in the school district. And as we suspected last month, the allowable levy growth factor will remain at 2%, even though CPI is hovering around 4.7%, because the number, according to the regulation, is the lesser of CPI, or 2%. We do have carryover from this year that we did not levy. That number is the same, and I'll show you that calculation in a moment. But remember, it's use it or lose it. So we could use all of it this year, some of it, none of it, but it is only an option for 1 year. And we do not have any current year capital exclusions. So we are not paying more debt service than we are getting building aid this year. That happens every once in a while, but it's primarily because the building aid has started for the new debt service on the newer capital project. So we won't have a part 2 to the tax cap formula. We usually have the tax levy limit and then the maximum allowable levy limit. We won't have that second part this year. And so right now, projection factors indicate that we could have a tax levy limit increase of 3.15%. And I'll show you on the next slide how that could go up even a little bit more. This is the calculation of the carryover amount. It is the lesser of two calculation results. So your levy limit minus your actual levy. So this was what we could have levied last year. This is what we did levy, which is a 0% increase from the prior year, or our tax levy limit of last year multiplied by 1.5%. So that's where we get this number from, because it is the lesser of the two calculations. And it is only available to use this year. So this is the first part of the calculation and the only part that we have to deal with this year. So now that we're in budget season for 22-23, we're talking about 21-22 as the prior year. So the prior year tax levy is represented at the top. And you multiply that times the tax base growth factor. Your new subtotal, you need to subtract last year's capital exclusions. So this was the number in part 2 of the formula last year. You have to bring that number to part 1 on the following year's formula. You subtract that out to get a new subtotal, and then multiply that times the 2%. Add the available carryover. And this, I believe, is where our max is this year, 4.13%. Which includes use of the carryover. We do not have to use it. And we'll look at these numbers a little differently. So part 2, we don't have it, it's crossed out. We don't have the capital exclusions. So this is how I see our menu of options looking for this year. So option A is levying a tax at the tax base growth factor only. So only including the taxing for physical expansion of the school district, physical expansion of the tax base. That would give you another $231,000 in revenue. Option B is to include the tax base growth factor plus the 2%. And the reason that this is not 2.92 and it's 2.61 is because, remember, we have to subtract last year's capital exclusions at $81,000. That comes out in this part of the formula. Or option C, set as the levy limit with the available carryover, brings you to the 4.13. About $1 million of new revenue. So there's only one factor that could change these numbers one more time, and that is the bond refunding that we're doing. I did have a conference call today with Moody's. They are in charge of doing our bond rating. So we have a very good bond rating right now, and we foresee that being affirmed. We don't foresee that being downgraded because of our position. The one concern that they see is the contraction of our student population. Our enrollments are decreasing about 3% per year. So that is something that they've noted. And that even though our land wealth is increasing, our student population is not increasing. So let's just go back one more time. So this last number here could change in the event that the bond refunding isn't favorable for us. We may have to make some adjustments, but I should know that within the next month. Okay. These are the budget initiatives that we have talked with the budget committee about, and also with the audit committee about. In December of every year, I send a form out to all of the principals and supervisors, and all staff members are allowed to request items for their departments or their instructional areas in the following year. So these are the items that we received. We did receive a few more, but I'm able to take care of those in the current year budget, so we will be taking care of those and buying those things for those folks this year. They aren't items that impact next year's budget. So we try to align these with your board goals. And you can see that they're grouped into 3 categories: instructional, athletics, and then facilities, together with transportation. At the very top, the Nature's Classroom experience, Dr. Howard wanted to lead this in. We actually put this in the budget 3 years ago. I think
Something
3
like
years,
that.
3
Yeah.
years ago, the year that COVID struck.
Yep.
And obviously we couldn't do it. We left it in the budget last year, hoping we could do it last year. It didn't happen. I'm not even sure what the status is of the program at this time, but it is our hope that we would be able to do that in the future for kids. The Glowforge Pro with filter, that is a kind of 3D printer, if you will, an upgraded 3D printer. So we'll take care of that. Mr. Sanders is looking to replace the robotics kits in his department. AP Math textbook replacements, that's an estimate at this time. The FACS classroom needs a number of items, mixers, microwaves, those I can take care of this year, and we purchased those items, but also the ovens for the classroom need to be replaced. Mrs. Fricky put in a request to have the chairs in the library replaced, the wooden chairs. And there was a request for report card changes for grades 5 and 6, and we don't have that estimate yet.
And that's done by a vendor, and changing the software is a fairly costly endeavor.
Angela Webster provided some requests for the athletics department. The soccer goals on the modified field need to be replaced. We talked about how we put the huddle cameras in the high school gyms this year, so that when we couldn't have spectators for sports, that was a way for parents and grandparents and family members to participate and really engage with our athletics department. And the usage of that service was great. It was incredible. But we wanted to also include the kids that play sports in the elementary gym. So we'd like to add a camera there. And that scoreboard in that gym is the original scoreboard when we built the building. So it's starting to have some technical issues and repair issues. So we're looking to replace that. Getting down to the facilities and transportation side, you may remember a few years ago, we did replace ovens in one kitchen. So this is taking care of the ovens in the other kitchen and adding some additional cooler shelving. The radio system repeaters and radios, these are the radios from, I think, the 2008 building project.
Yes, yeah,
And they're starting to not work, the batteries becoming
exactly.
difficult to
Yeah,
find.
The radio system being old, yeah.
Yes. These 3 items that are in this black box here, these are facilities items that we could do as a small capital project. We could use cash for these items, and the lights and the main entrance door replacement would get building aid. So we would get 41.6% back on our money. And then, as we discussed, we did 1 bus lift in the garage a few years ago. We knew that the second one was going to need replacing. It's now time, so we do have estimates for those 3 items. If you decide to proceed, you don't have to make a decision tonight. We're just giving you the information so that you can see what it would cost. These are pretty good budget numbers right now. They do have some escalation in them because of supply chain issues, et cetera, prices increasing. And replacing a bus garage air compressor. And then we previously discussed the replacement of the 3 passenger buses. In the last meeting, we talked about the community bus project. I can tell you that I did find out from SED that I can purchase the 4th bus with American Rescue Plan grant funds. So I do not need to add the 4th bus to this number right here. So we can take care of that, no problem. So the total of these budget initiatives, if you wanted to proceed, would be about $1.3 million. So as we've discussed, that is another way for us to do projects that have no tax impact because we can use savings. Does anyone have any particular questions about these? And we will have another, we had a budget committee meeting, which Mrs. Torch will talk about, and then we have another audit committee meeting coming up in March. So we'll continue our conversation.
So that fourth bus is used for the community bus.
We talked about pulling off one of the newer buses off the line and then replacing that with the new bus.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So some other budget considerations that we're looking at that are really important. These numbers are just kind of trickling in. The estimate for New York State Teachers Retirement System has increased from 9.8 this year to about 10.29% next year. That number is not finalized until August of next year, so they give me that rate and tell me to use that. So this was our expense this year, because remember, we pay the TRS bill through our fall state aid payment. They deduct it from our fall state aid payment, and we always pay for the prior year. So our expense this year was about $101,000 more than the prior year. And it does use a 5-year rolling average of market rates to come up with the next year's rates. I'd like to show you what those rates have been historically. And there has been some market volatility over the last year and a half to 2 years. Okay, the public employees retirement system, this is the retirement system for the non-instructional staff. That's decreasing quite a bit from 16.2% to 11.6%. There are a lot of different tiers within the ERS system. So it's a little bit different for ERS. We are just given a projected amount that we will pay. Unlike with TRS, right, take all of the instructional salaries and multiply it times that 10.29% to get our projected bill. ERS just says, this is what you'll have to pay probably in December of next year. That's about $234,000 less than what I budgeted for this year. However, when the bill actually came in December, the bill was about $34,000 less than what was budgeted. So we did save a little bit of money there this year. I should get workers' compensation projections at a meeting tomorrow. And I'm just showing you what last year's projection was into this year. And we have had no unemployment expenses to date. Ashley does a great job working on those cases, but we do keep a little bit of money there just in case. This is probably the most alarming increase that we're seeing this year. Health insurance rates are increasing about 2%. These are just projections. We won't get final rates until April usually, I think. Actually, we get them about April. But it is below trend. So the median increase for most districts was about 4%. So that's okay. Last year it increased 0%. But our prescription drug rates are increasing 48.1% next year. And that is not a typo. So that is due to high utilization of costly specialty drugs. The Health Insurance Trust is looking at a stopgap measure, but essentially rates will increase approximately, I think, $100 a month for an individual plan, up to $250 a month for a family plan. That's the total monthly cost. Then we have our portion and employees have their portion. So Ashley's working on that as well. And as we get more information from the trust, we'll push more information out to staff, but it's not finalized yet. We do maintain a prescription reserve with the Health Insurance Trust because we're a member of a consortium, about 23 districts, I think. But we are experience rated. So we pay for our own claims and our rates are based on our claims. So right now, because of that utilization, we've had almost $1 million of usage just since July 1st of this year. So the reserve that we maintain with the trust, nothing we maintain here with the district, is in a deficit position of $800,000 right now. And I will find out Friday if we will actually have to write a check for that to replenish that. And this is just the condition of things right now. So Neil's a member of the Health Insurance Trust on behalf of the district, and he will tell you that districts are always talking about that day when there's the $1 million claim. So now Taconic Hills is that example because we have the $1 million claim. So this is, concerning. We'll keep an eye on it, but it is a result of utilization.
Don't say anything about that.
TBD, at this time, we don't know, but that's usually not a huge increase. And then you saw,
I'm sorry, is there a list of what the specialty drugs are?
Yes, there is.
Okay, where can you find that somewhere? Can I find that?
Sometimes we're allowed to look at it, sometimes we're not, because
Oh.
this is private information,
Oh,
healthcare information. If I was to tell you, you might be able to figure out who the person was
Yeah.
who is receiving.
I was just
medication.
curious about, what drugs were considered specialty drugs, not necessarily related to a person, but, okay.
There are lists. I can try to get you a sort of
Just
a,
curious what,
I can try to get you a
Okay.
sort of an,
I would,
A
I
current
wouldn't
list.
be able to associate it.
it changes all the time.
Yeah.
At a 48.1% increase rate, I'm guessing anything that comes in pill form or liquid form.
and as you're probably aware, actuaries are always looking at those formularies. And it's a fluid process, so drugs are coming on and going off, and as generics become available, they take the place of a specialty med, so it's constantly changing.
We negotiate rebates as well.
Yes, and that's one of the things we're looking at for some of those high-cost drugs, is trying to find a way to increase those rebates. Because they do drive our rates down. And one of the things that I'm really concerned about is that, this is setting us up for higher rates next year. And if we're able to get it under control, that's great. We'll see the rates come back down. But if we can't get it under control, it subjects us to having that constant recalibration of rates. You saw this slide in November when we had the financial condition workshop. Just wanted to revisit it. I updated this information with Nick and Bobby Doe's help. But so with fuel oil costs, the price has come down. The current price per gallon has come down a little bit. But as you can see, this is what we were paying last year. And this was our budgeted price per gallon. So usually we have some surplus here in the fuel area, either depending on price or depending on weather. And then in the spring, we take a look at what our needs are. We try to buy more student laptops, instructional supplies. So that is looking like it might not be there this year. And then with gas prices, this is really a little bit alarming as well. In November, I had told you what we spent on gas so far and diesel so far. That was in November. These numbers have doubled since November. Now, granted, we are getting back to normal. We're doing more sports trips. We are getting out there a little bit more, but the prices are higher. So these are our proposed propositions, our 22-23 budget, the election of four members, right? We have 4 seats open. Acquisition of 4 school buses, but 1 will be grant funded, and then possibly a small capital project containing those 3 items. And these are our
Wait,
dates.
can you back up a minute, so the small capital project, even though that's got to go on the, for the taxpayers to vote on, correct? But we're using cash to
Yes,
pay for that,
Yes.
correct? So no,
no tax impact, and we would include that language in the
Okay.
proposition as well. We can do that.
yeah, thank you.
And I think you have these dates already, but I can share this out as well. And we'll keep working on it. Do we have any specific questions? I'll send this to you as well. So our next budget workshop is on March 7th.
Thanks, Cindy. Next up, we have reports, Superintendent, Dr. Neal.
Okay, so we did have some flags made up for our board members who have resigned, David Bellin and Craig Bender. I think we did
Those are nice.
We'll make sure that they get those for their service. In front of you, you have our COVID test. We're going to be giving out our third distribution tomorrow to all the students. And faculty can just, or staff can pick them up down here anytime that they need one. We've got lots of them, and there's no shortage, or we have an adequate supply of these to be able to last us quite a while. So we'll be asking parents to test their kids before they come back from the break, just to be sure. And of course, that's all. Parents can choose not to if they feel like it, or if they can use the test. Okay. This is every year I talk a little bit about our current population and our projected. So I just want to give you an idea. As Sybil mentioned earlier, we lose about 3% a year, and we've been doing that for about 10 years. And our staff has increased based upon the needs of those kids as their special education needs and other general education needs. And of course, with COVID, we've decreased class sizes. We've spread things out quite a bit. But I just wanted to bring to your attention, this is the current year. Right now, as of 14th, I pulled out the self-contained kids and the distance learning kids here. And this is our current number of sections that we have. Okay, and associated individuals. And here's our average class size in the elementary and in the high school. And that's the secondary, 7 to 12. Over here, right now we have 31 in the census for pre-K for next year. And we've got 6 lotteries handed in. We're putting a little bit more push on that to find out where these kids are. I've tried to contact hospitals, tried to use different state websites to get statistics on birth rates, and because that's how we predict. And we've got not too many kids being born. Now, we may see a little COVID bubble as people were home a great deal during the past year and a half, but so far that hasn't shown up and probably won't show up for a couple of years. So I fully expect this number to rise here. And now in here, this is a 52. And all I did was take this 52 from here and I transferred it down to kindergarten from pre-K. I expect this number to go up as well, but I don't know how much. It may go up into the high 60s or low 70s, somewhere in that range. All right. So everything else is carried over from here over to here. And again, this is all best guess, and this is an exercise. The only thing I really wanted to bring to your attention here was I was playing devil's advocate, and I play around with the number of sections needed, and then we look at the averages. Okay. So even in the elementary, we could lose 4 teachers if that terminology is really not correct. Lose is probably not the right word, but we could decrease 4 teachers and still maintain a 17, just over 17 average. And this year is a 16.4 average. So that's not necessarily bad, but again, we're going to be talking with the principals. We talked with Stella and CSE, and we're looking at the needs of the children here. And then that will help dictate what we think that we need for sections. It's not an exact science, but we are working on it and seeing how that might affect, of course, learning for the children and their opportunities. All right, and you can see down here, this one's not, I'll just give you an example. 7th grade, looks like 68. I'm going to change this to 4, and right now it's at 13.6, just to give you an idea of how that would change. 13.6 to 17. 17 is probably still a pretty good number, depending upon the needs in the classroom. Any questions on that? This is an exercise that we go through and play with every year.
Neil, do we look at the number of kids that are now being homeschooled?
Pardon me?
The number of kids being homeschooled as a result of whatever has happened over the last year?
I'm sorry, are you asking me the number of kids? that are
Yeah,
homeschooled?
how do we look at that too? The number of kids that would have been here but are now being homeschooled?
Well, I think that we're aware of it, but we don't plan for them necessarily. Every once in a while, we have homeschool folks or homeschool parents call and ask. Sometimes they send kids in, and we have other parents that take kids out for whatever reason they feel.
I thought they had to register with the school and
Yeah, they do.
follow the, oh, okay.
They don't follow our curriculum. They
Follow-
write their own plan,
okay.
and then they submit it to us. And we try to keep track of it a little bit. But the requirements in New York State are very limited. So something that a parent might want to teach at home, we're certainly sometimes unable to teach here, such as religion.
Mhm. Right.
What's that?
Okay, thank you. Budget committee. So like Sybil said, we met, and she did get, I thought I was gonna give this before you gave your presentation, but, so we reviewed the budget initiative, she went over that, and they all seem pretty reasonable to me. The one thing that I do want to say though is the prescription drug coverage that she talked about. So that deficit of $800,000, that's gotta come from somewhere to replenish that reserve fund. So it's gonna be cash, it's gonna be our general fund. So that's why we have the, thank God we have the money there to cover that cost. That's what that money is supposed to be for, when we come up against something like this. And this is for, this prescription drug coverage is for, one of the members, one of the staff members here. So this is what this took care of. And who knows what next year's gonna bring, but that's what that money is supposed to be for. It's for rainy day funds. This was a rainy day. And we're probably gonna have to write that $800,000 check. So that's it for my report. Next, we have pre-K, Darby Delia.
So some of the stuff I'm gonna talk about right now, it might seem like deja vu, because somebody in the back took some of my ideas. So this week, or in the last month or so, we've had a pre-K winter festival where our pre-Kers are doing all sorts of different things, like making snow, having a indoor snowball fight, as well as making snowmen all inside. We have used Winter Olympics as a theme to some of our curriculum. The music class, they have different Olympic themed competitions and classes, all based on learning musical elements. This past week, we have in our makerspace in the library, we have Olympics happening. They are using robots to go through a slalom, and we have some curling going on with the use of the green screen. We also have students designing and creating in our sandbox, ski trails, and things like that. Monday, as was also said, was our 100th day of school. It was also coincides with Valentine's Day. One of the things that happened on Monday was our 5th grade had an interactive art display. They actually called it the 5th grade bakery. So they had all different types of cakes and pies, all designed. As the Valentine's part of this, they ended up creating little pins that they put out for teachers to take. I got cherries, we got a pretzel. I'm not sure what else is in the and
I had a
as
hot dog.
yeah, there were pizzas, there was lots of different things that were created. And what the Valentine's Day part was, is that as you took a pin, the teacher would write a note to the student, and those were given back to them. So nice little interactive thing happening there. Another thing that happened with our 3rd grade is they did an author study on Patricia Polacco, and each 3rd grader made a memory square, and then it was all put together in conjunction to make a huge quilt, which is actually hanging in our library that you can see if you go down to that. So sorry for some of the repeats, but that's some really cool things that are happening in our elementary school.
Yeah, that is cool. We'll have to make that part of, when we do a visitation and we'll have to swing in there.
If you have time, the makerspace Olympics is really cool. There are going to be lots of pictures on our website. Matt Perry has been going around taking pictures of all the different events that we've been having. I'm not sure if it's updated as of right now, but I know kiosk and they're taking pictures. And I don't know if you have time tomorrow, but there is a schedule that if you come in to see it, the kids get right in with the iPads and they have a little robot and they're going through the thing. It's crazy.
Aw. Thanks, Darby. The high school, who's
Yep.
giving the report? Okay, sorry. Henry.
That's okay. So a couple of things, for the month of January and so far this month, in the month of February, there were 35 positive behavioral referrals submitted by faculty and staff. And these referrals recognize students for improving their work habits, helping others and contributing to the positive culture of the school. So that's encouraging. March 2nd is the birthday of Dr. Seuss, but in addition to that, it is also Read Across America Day. And our school media specialist, Tanya Cricky, is holding a kickoff event for the Titan Reading Challenge. So for the whole month of March, she's encouraging students and faculty and staff to read as many books as they can. The second marking period has ended. And as a result, just to give you an idea, the 8th grade ended the second marking period with a 90.42% attendance rate. In addition, 70% of the marking period 2 grades were in the 80 to 100 range. And we are continuing to work on our attendance rate through family outreach, family involvement, and student communication. We will examine data, including failure rates, grade ranges, and individual student academic achievement for the remaining marking periods. Finally, our grade 7 teachers actually just met this morning, and we are beginning to incorporate restorative practices and restorative principles and conversations in order to decrease the number of behavioral disciplinary referrals. And the grade 7 team of teachers is really working hard to establish relationships with students. Everyone is working hard to establish relationships with students and understand how they can act as a resource for students rather than just someone who hands out a punishment. And we continue to find ways to incorporate restorative practices throughout the whole school. And we are beginning to elicit volunteers to assist us in revising the code of conduct to reflect these principles.
Thanks, Henry. Any questions for Henry? Sandra, you're up next.
So I have Kim, our chemistry 101 to be teacher, and Rebecca here to help out. I know this is out of our normal sequence, and again, I appreciate the board hearing about this new potential course offering and hopefully approving it tonight. Sometimes when we collaborate, it takes a little longer than we anticipate, and I thank you for hearing this tonight and that wonderful collaboration that we had really between teachers and students, giving their voice as well as your concerns as a board when we look at AP results. So this is our proposal for new course offerings. We also did a lot of collaboration this time with Columbia Green Community College because it will be offered through them. So great representative there that's relatively new to his position, and he's been great to work with for that process. So again, you know, you've heard this before, why we change and add courses. And then the next slide is about the Chem 101 Royal 2, which I'm going to invite Kim up to kind of just share her thoughts.
Oh.
Thank you. Hi, good evening. So this was a several kind of years, I think, thought process of what to do with AP Chem and transition. AP Chem is one of the top 5 toughest AP exams to take out of all the AP exams that are given. It is a very difficult and rigorous course, and I know a lot of students find that to be difficult. And I really, over the amount of years that I've taught AP Chem, probably about 10 plus, wonderful students that I've worked with that have worked diligently to try to get through that course because it's not easy. With that being said, after talking to a lot of the students, many of them said the worrisome of AP Chem and what it is, but wanting to know still that curriculum with the juxtaposition that they were in. And so this is why we kind of talked about the switch over to Chem 101, 102. The curriculum is not as rigorous. It is still chemistry, college level chemistry. Okay, so it's not, the timeline's a little bit different as well, slightly, but the labs are very similar. So the stress of that AP exam at the end of the year, but understanding and getting that content, because that's the biggest thing. A lot of the students that I teach are ones heading into the medical field, anything along those lines, veterinarian. they want that content, and many of them have come back to me and said, Antal, by taking this and taking that upper level chemistry, they feel far more prepared heading into college level chemistry. There is such a gap between Regents chemistry and then the curriculum they get into college. So being able to still transition and give them that curriculum, but with not having as much as the rigor of AP Chem as why we came up with Chem 101, 102. And I will be the one teaching that curriculum, so the rollover and a few things being added to there. Through Co-Green, the textbook that they utilize is a textbook we actually have already. So we have, I think, approximately about 13 textbooks of those, maybe 14 if I'm correct of them, that I'll be utilizing if this gets approved. And the labs and things like that, I have most of the equipment. I'm trained on most of that stuff there. And the chemicals are things that we have to purchase on a yearly basis. That's just something that has to happen. They get used, we have to purchase them. But a lot of the equipment I already have. The labs already have all that stuff. So we really actually have all this stuff here. What it is more of a transition of what the course is being defined as. Instead of an AP level, it is chemistry 101, 102. It also gives the students a little bit more of an opportunity because of that. A lot of colleges now, even if you get a 5 on the AP exam, they still will not accept it. A lot of them will say, we still want you to take Chem 101, 102, but this is also an opportunity for them to still get it, but then also get the credit. And then a lot of colleges will go, oh, wait, okay, well, maybe we'll accept this a little bit more than an AP. So there is also that as well. And the students still have an opportunity, if they would like to challenge the AP exam at the end of the year, because they will have still most of that content and they can study and prepare for that. So that opportunity is still there for them. But as far as new purchasing of stuff, not as much, maybe a few more textbooks. I do believe in talking to a lot of the students. The amount of enrollment in about AP Chem range most years between about 8 to 12. Right now, I have interest from students of ranging between about 15 to 20 and upwards of there going for Chem 101, 102. So there's a lot more interest for this course and curriculum. Are there any questions that I can answer for you this
I
evening?
just have one,
Yes, ma'am.
like a statement, not really a question, but, the students that I have talked to,
Mhm.
taking the AP chemistry wasn't really about colleges accepting it. It was really more about the rigor of the course, because when they went to the colleges, they didn't feel they were prepared for chemistry in college. So, many colleges won't accept any of that. They want you to take their own chemistry, which is perfectly fine. I'm worried that the kids aren't getting the instruction they need to continue in college. So
Understand.
this hopefully will solve that problem.
May I answer that? If that's
Sure.
Thank you. So a few things. I don't know this, but I do speak in a lot of extracurriculum that they don't. I just teach extra stuff to them, and I could teach that extracurriculum to them with time being spent. I could give them that curriculum. What students also worry about is a lot of them worry about and know that although this is weighted just like AP Chem, it's out there, but they're grade. They worry. The tests are not easy and they're very difficult. And a lot of students weigh that and say, okay, yes, I'll get the curriculum, but at what cost with my average? Because that is very difficult test that I'm taking throughout the year. And that weighs on the students a lot. And that's why my enrollment started going down a lot. Is they started making that decision of, okay, I know the curriculum is really tough, but what is that going to do? Because I want that content, but I might not want that grade that if I'm struggling with taking tests and not feeling confident enough in that curriculum to take those exams. And so that was all what a lot of students will say to me, is that a lot of them within the first month, it really is a tough sort of, they realize, okay, this is very tough stuff. And they do understand that, but that also is, I always try to push the students and try to get them, they can do that. And I know that you can get to that next level there. And so I always say to them, I know this is tough, if you can get there to that level. But I not everybody is when it comes to tests, and I understand that. But that AP test is, still very tough. But yes, that's what they also say. The curriculum does align a lot, and I try to align a lot of the AP labs along with the same as well. If time is allotted, I will try to also teach them some extra curriculum there so that they do feel confident when they go back into, and hopefully when they future chemistry courses, feel confident enough with a lot of that curriculum. but not feel that stress as much, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Okay, thank you.
I think just a couple of points to add to what Kim has said is, one of the things that's nice about the college level courses is their semester begins right in September, but they end mid-December. And they don't begin the next semester until February, and they tend to end in May. All of our teachers supplement the curriculum with other pieces that they believe are best for students during those off time periods. So our kids actually do get more than the traditional college semester course gives through that. Another piece, I talked about a lot of collaboration, and that was with counselors and figuring out what's best credit wise. Our students can only enroll in 9 credits of college level courses a year, so, or a semester, you look at it that way. So that means that many of our kids were not enrolling in our upper level 12 AP class in language, in composition, in English. So now our counselors believe, and the English department is really happy about this, that instead of 2 101s, 102s in English, we'll be able to offer English 101, English 102, and then the AP language and composition. And there's actually probably a stronger group that are ready for that language in English than there are chemistry AP. So, it's kind of a give and take and looking at their student population. And it really was a decision among many departments to support this. So I think that's a really positive to see the departments working together to do what's best for students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Business office, or,
I will pass.
okay. Stella, you're up next.
Good evening. The special education department was under review by New York State Education Department for our suspension rates of students with disabilities. Our suspension rate was significantly less at 0.6% than the state discrepancy number of 2.7%. Many things go to the practices of the administrators with the teachers with restorative practices, with conversations. I pinpoint Katerina Tolan, who's leaving us, as a teacher who supported many of the special education students at the middle school with discipline referrals. With the addition of our 3rd psychologist, our 3 social workers, and our counselors with the social emotional pieces, again, we've really supported the students so that they're not suspended.
Thanks. Thanks, Stella. Okay, next up, we have Nick Smith.
So unfortunately, the ice storm that we had on February 4th caused more problems for us than just slippery parking lots. We also lost power here in the district that day. And when we lost power, just previous to that, we experienced a low voltage condition throughout the building. And when you have low voltage supplying electricity to motors and such, there's a potential for damage because they're trying to run at their full capacity, but they're not getting enough voltage and amperage to run properly. We ended up having 15 unit ventilators where the motors on those units burnt up for a total of 20 motors because 5 of those units had 2 motors each. That resulted in about $12,000 worth of damage. We were able to submit a claim for that, and that's all been approved. We were able to fix many of the units with parts that we had in stock. We still have about half of them that are down, so we're working through that whole process. But yeah, we're on the right track to getting everything back up and running, and that's just an example of the curveballs that Mother Nature throws at us here in the Northeast.
Thanks. No PowerPoint.
Nothing, sorry.
Now, I know Rick's not here. Do we have a report from him or not?
No, we do not.
Okay.
Ms. Bonnie Joe, unless you want to say something?
Our 2 new buses are due in tomorrow. So we're
Yay.
excited to get them finally.
Those are from last year?
Those are from last year. They finally received all their parts and pieces, been DOT inspected, so about 9:30 tomorrow morning, they'll arrive.
Wow.
Other than that, everything is going as normal and getting through, trying to get through budget season.
Well, thank you. That's good news. I like that. All right, John, you have something special for us tonight?
Oh, man, yeah,
You have something special for us tonight?
I actually get to speak for a while. I was asked to talk about the camera system that we have.
Okay.
There's approximately 184 cameras throughout the district. And this is a Google map showing you, we broke it up into quadrants. There is one way out here at the sign. Police officers like to use that for accident reports. The cameras are broken up into quadrants here, and if you go into the parking lot, you can see the cameras and get a view there, as you can see it popped up.
That's a real-time view. That's what it looks like right now.
Yep. And what I'm after is, I gotta zoom in a little bit. This is what we call our license plate camera. And what you can do is you can zoom in on it and actually see what the license plate is as they pull in and out. We are in the process of updating these cameras with a grant through the federal government. I just wanted to highlight that. Another section is interior cameras. If you look at this camera here and you were watching the swim team, quite often you were watching this camera here, because we set it up so that the swim team could send out and during the COVID times. We have it broken, the camera system is broken into two sections. There's a map section, which I showed you before, and then we have what we call view section down here. It's your preference in how you want to use this system, but we set it up two ways to make it more user friendly. So down in the views, we have like the cafeterias here, and we can go in and look at the recordings. And right here down at the bottom, my fingers don't like the sensors on the screen very well. But we can put a bar in here and slide through and see the history. I can expand this when my fingers, doesn't like my fingers. We have cameras on the entrances. So each office, the elementary and the high school office, have views like this so they can see who's coming in and out. That kind of got started back before COVID when we were dealing with active shooters. As I said, we had the school sign. This is a live feed right now. I can again go back to hopefully get some daylight pictures so you can see that we're more concerned about things happening to the sign, but because this one is pointed to the ground so we can see who walks up to it. But this is the one that the police officers like to use because that's the intersection. And when you blow it up, you can actually see cars passing and hitting and all that good stuff. We have cameras on the playgrounds. Again, that's a live feed. And something that's, as a geek, this kind of gets exciting here. We have halo systems, okay? Halos are in all the bathrooms. They have sensors on them. The main reason we bought them is to alert us to when students are vaping in the bathroom. Not only does it tell us if they're vaping, but it also tells us if it's THC, so that we can, it differentiates that. The sensors are such. And if you look here on this one, this is a live feed. When the vaping and the THC, when they get up above the set perimeters, these little marks here, they turn red. So administration can easily go in and slide the recording back and forth until they see the red. And then I've got it set up so you can see the camera in that location and you can actually see what's going on at that time. So it cuts down their camera searching a lot, and we're able to keep track of things. Another nice thing about these halos is there are other sensors on them. I can tell when Nick's group cleans the bathrooms because the ammonia will go up. Temperature, if the temperature drops or gets too high, I can remember when a pipe burst a year ago or whatever, the temperature shot way up high in the girls' bathroom next to the location. And we have, I guess I just wanted to point out, there's 14 halos, so we cover most of the bathrooms. And as you can see down through here, I've got many views set up for them to look at and see. So you got all the halos. The school sign, I showed you that. So if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
This is all about safety and security of our employees and our students and any other members of the public using the facility.
And we can go back, our storage is currently going, you look here, I'm getting, that's December 11th. So I've got almost 2 months. And that's on all the cameras.
So if we know of a situation, and sometimes situations occur, we are able to clip or bookmark these for future use.
Or mark out the recording and then save it in a different file for whoever.
So these cameras go 24/7 or?
Yes. Yep, and some of them, most of them are on 24/7. We have a lot of them set up on motion. So that when somebody walks by, it it records. If you, let's see, I pick something. You can see little skips in it here. I wish I could expand it. The blue dot. Yeah, now I gotta move this little thing all the way over. So back on December 17th, if I pull that up, you can see what was happening at that time. And we can zoom in. And we're looking at, there's 1 minute between these 2 points. And there's a little activity on this one. So
What makes guys?
well, I have to be careful what I show you because this system actually has, we can pick a face or a body type and then follow it throughout the building. But New York State does not allow that because it's personal identifiable information. So we actually had to turn that feature off.
But heaven forbid that if we ever had an intruder or a violent incident occur, we're able to track the perpetrators and the individuals very, very closely and share this with the appropriate authorities if necessary.
Where is this monitored? Is this monitored in your office or? In your office?
Oh, I don't want anything to do with it. This is all John Dodds. The principals have access to this, and John as well. You don't want too many people to have access to this type of technology.
If you're thinking that if the feed runs continuously and we just watch it continuously, that's not always the case. Right, I don't. There's nobody sitting in their office just watching.
And there's only a couple of us in the IT department that can alter or manipulate the data. Everyone else is on view only.
I was more thinking, God forbid it was like an active shooter or
Yes,
something going
yes.
on.
So the
Oh, well,
police do,
okay, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, John.
That's the coolest part about this. I'm sitting here on my laptop. I'm connected to nothing. I can be anywhere
Okay.
in the school. So we
You can
have,
actually see what, okay.
right, and we've got it set up for the police. That's why we use the map views over here on the top. Is for the police department to be able to come in and monitor this when there is an active shooter. And then they can look at the map and just go through, I'll go back to this one, go to this. This is a layout of the second floor of the school.
It's absolutely in real time.
Yep. And you know,
This is actionable data.
and I can just mouse over any of the cameras and see what's going on right then and there. So when they come and set up,
You have to figure out that.
Yeah, unfortunately, with the Michigan shooting, I mean, it's been brought back up. Our health and safety committee has discussed it. And part of the reason why I asked John to present to you this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is, you did a really good job. That's the most you've talked in a long time.
I think if you combine all the
see you
time.
next year.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. It was interesting.
Very interesting.
Is Pam here?
Yeah,
I
I'm
know
here.
she brought us food, but
I don't have anything fancy like that, but like you said, I brought food.
Ron loves you
Pam,
for that.
Pam, that is the right answer.
So
That is the
tonight we
correct
have
answer I was looking for.
a creamy chicken cheese gumbo. So I brought down real bowls because we can't afford any. We're not gonna spend the money it costs for like the paper bowls. Okay, so when you're done, just put your bowls in the bus pan there and I'll pick them up in the morning and wash them. But with that idea, we have 10 containers that we use to serve the elementary students when we deliver the meals. And last Wednesday, I placed the order, I got the confirmation, and they were 25 cents a piece. When they were delivered the next day, and I had the invoice, they went up to 46 cents a
Oh
piece.
my gosh.
So I've been going back and forth with them right now, saying, we're not paying this, the confirmation was this price, so that's how quickly things are going up. And then we also went through a rough period with some staff having COVID, so we were down like 4 people for like 2 weeks, or not that long, I'm sorry, for like a week. But we made it through, everybody's back, everybody's healthy, and we're looking forward to having next week off. I mean, last time we had a snow day was great, but we had no power, so it didn't really count as a good day off, so.
It wasn't.
Pam, I know we have next week off. I'm still gonna be hungry at that point.
All right,
Kind of, you know.
we'll work on something.
And we don't have the student liaison, Madeline's not here tonight, she had an emergency, so we'll hear from her next month. We have no old business at this time. New business. We had A, acceptance of the dissolution proceeds in the amount of $15,238.78 from the Stay and Play Kids After School Care Incorporated for the benefit of the Peconic Hills for an after school program. Can I have a motion, please? Joe, second. Alicia, any questions on that? All in favor? Next, we have the approval of Chiconic Hills Central School District contract for health and welfare services and per pupil rate of $776.53 for resident students attending non-public schools and other school districts for the 2021-2022 school year. Can I have a motion, please? Ron, second. Joe, any questions on that? I had asked Sybil earlier before the meeting to how many students that was. So you wanted to tell me.
Sure,
about
yes.
that.
We have 143 students from other school districts that attend Hawthorne Valley.
That's about 20 more students than last year. And so we're expecting about $111,000 in revenue from those bills because we do fund a nurse, a part-time nurse at Hawthorne Valley. So that's about $20,000 more than last year.
And we charge the school districts at the
Correct.
children's fund.
Correct.
Thank you so much. All in favor?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, next up, the Questor Board of Education nominations. Be it resolved that the qualifications of Nadine Gazzola have been reviewed by the Tohoto Central School District Board of Education and deemed qualified to serve. Therefore, be it resolved that the board approves the nomination of Nadine Gazzola to the Rensselaer Columbia Green BOCES Board. Can I have a nomination? Or can I have a motion? Joe, second. Terry? Any questions on that?
Nadine is present this evening.
Yes, Nadine's there.
Thank you.
She's hiding back there. All in favor? Thank you. Congratulations. I'm not reading that whole thing, but it's for the, what Nick was talking about, the emergency repair resolution. Can I have a motion, please? Joe, second, Ron. Any questions on that? All in favor? Thank you. We have amendment of the 5th grade snow tubing field trip to Bosque Mountain Ski Area in Pittsfield. Can I have a motion, please? Bill?
No, Catamount, they were scheduled to go to, but their tubing park is not currently open.
Bill, motion, second, Joe? All in favor? Thank you. The superintendent of schools recommends to the Board of Education to approve the following new courses. This is what Sandra was talking about on the SAM call. Chemistry 101 and 102. Can I have a motion, please? Terry, second. Heidi? All in favor, or any questions on that? All in favor? Okay, approval to change the following adult meal charges for the 2021-2022 school year effective February 17, 2022. Can I have a motion, please? Motion. Terry, second. Heidi, any questions? All in favor? All right, next up, we have some donations. So we have some books from Jennifer Jameson for the high school, for both junior, senior high school library. We have various children books from William and Lindsay Arp for the Taconic Hills Elementary School Books on Wheels collection. And we have school supplies from the Ancrumdale Neighbor Helping Neighbors Association, and that's for the junior, senior high school. Can I have a motion, please? Heidi, second. Joe, any questions?
Bill Gordon, we saw you bring in.
Boxes.
Oh, that was last time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful books, so. Yeah.
All in favor? Thank you. All right, next up, we have the memorandum of agreement. Be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Taconic Hills School District hereby approves the agreement for the Taconic Hills Support Staff Association dated January 28, 2022, and approves the payment herein for the named employees. Have a motion, please. Bill, second. Heidi, any questions? So Sybil, you want to explain what the
Sure.
memorandum was?
As you know, most non-instructional staff positions are governed by civil service, so they all come with job descriptions. So as Sam was talking about, she had some staff out due to COVID-19. And so there were 2 staff members who stepped up without being asked and worked outside their job duties. So we really wanted to make sure that they were remunerated for that work. And it's also required because they were working outside of their job title.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. So additional items to discuss was resignation of board member Dave Phelan. So Dave resigned, he just, he wanted to spend more time with his family and stuff, and he realized, even though we don't get paid to be board members, it takes a lot of effort. And you have, he had the policy committee, and he did a wonderful job on the policy committee. I'm gonna miss him tremendously on that. But, you know, it's more than us coming here and sitting at the table once a month and raising our hands to vote on something. You're putting in a commitment, all of us, and I just want to, you know, thank him for that, because he did put a lot of effort into being a good board member, so. That's all I got for that. Anybody else got any additional things to discuss?
I ran into him the other day. He looks great. He's doing really well.
Good,
I
I'm
just
glad.
wanted to,
So the public forum, second one?
No.
Okay. So we are going to, I need a motion to go into executive session. Discuss negotiation and employment history of a particular person, Joe, Ron. All data. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Hi. I almost felt like-
You picked that up, right?
Yeah.